Hi everyone, Stepan here. I'm gonna play a training game. Many people have been asking me about the tournaments I'm gonna be playing. I'll be playing in August. Unfortunately, I cannot make any tournaments before that. I was planning to go to Finland, to be honest, but I can't do that. So I'll be playing the Split Open, which many people have been asking about, and then Humna Sutli Open. Both tournaments are in Croatia. And I chose them because in Split I have accommodation. My fiance is from Split, so I'll be staying at her parents' place. And then Humna Sutli Open is close to where I live, so I can go there every day for the games. So yeah, those tournaments I'm going to be playing. Now let's get into the game. I'm playing Lord 111 with a trident next to his name. So is he Poseidon? I don't know. We will see. Queen's Gambit declined. Yeah, so I was planning to play a bunch of tournaments here in France. Unfortunately, it's, if you live in France, you know it's expensive. I just, if you want to play a tournament somewhere, then it's at least €100 per night for accommodation, which is just way too much. And also, most tournaments in France are 60 plus 30, which is strange, and most have several double rounds, or every day there's a double round, which I really dislike. I prefer tournaments where you have one game per day. I know that's I'm being spoiled, but that's how I like to play tournaments. It's very stressful to prepare for 2 games per day, and then it's very stressful not to have any rest time in between games. And then especially if you lost the game, sorry, I think I may have broken my finger yesterday, so I may be doing this a lot. It's not some sign language. Yeah, especially when you lose a game, when it's a double round day, then focusing for the game in the afternoon is really tough, and can be exhausting to overcome the psychological problems after a loss. Or even when you win, you're too excited, you don't want to play immediately. At least I don't. I want to have a rest day and enjoy myself, and like have dinner and go for a walk and go for a swim or work out or anything. Watch stupid things on YouTube. So yeah, most tournaments in France are 60 plus 30, except for, I'd like to call them major tournaments, which are 1 round per day. But one of them was in the north of Corsica. And usually when I go to tournaments in nice places, I tend to choose places I haven't been to before. And I've been to Corsica before, so it wasn't a priority for me. Okay, I'm gonna go knight f3. This is where the theory sort of begins. He could go knight e4 immediately. h6 is a mistake I like facing, because then it gives me the option to challenge the g6 square. I'm just gonna castle. This Karlsbad structure is one of my favorite structures. I usually have this side of the structure where I go for a minority attack. I get this in the Queen's Gambit declined and in the exchange Caro-Kann. Exchange Queen's Gambit declined. And White's usual plan is a minority attack, unless White does something more aggressive like knight e2 instead of knight f3 followed by f3 e4. If you can hear traffic, then I'm sorry. My window is above a pretty busy road. He did play h6, which is good, because now on knight f8, knight e5, knight g6 cannot be played. And also f7 and g6 are permanently weakened. Okay, so Can I choose not to take on e7 and instead retreat my bishop? I don't think so. So bishop e7, queen e7 is forced. Then I go a3, he goes a5, rook b1, a4 cannot be played. Okay, let's go for this. I'm gonna go a3. And if I can, play b4. Now there's a problem with both knight f8 and knight df6. I just go knight e5, but then maybe c5 is strong. c5 immediately cannot be played because of knight d5. So let's say knight df6, b4, preventing c5. He's gonna have to develop at some point. So either a5, knight f8, or knight df8, or knight f6. I think he should start with a5, because if I get to play b4, he's never playing c5. The other question is, what do I recapture with if he takes on c3, which I don't... sorry, my finger. And also, I think I broke one of my fingers on my left hand when I was a kid. And I think it may have been this one, which is... I mean, what are the chances? So, yeah. I mean, I can move it, so it's probably not broken. It may be fractured or something. I don't know. Okay, so a5, rook b1. What does he do? I wanna, if he plays b5 at any point, I have this plan. So if, let's say, a5, rook b1, b5, which is common, then this knight could come to c5. If he plays f5, then my knight on e5 will be very, very solid after he moves the d7 knight. So far, it's not a very exciting game, but it's the type of position I really enjoy playing. Because I have a strategic plan that if... Whoa. Okay. So I'm just gonna go b4 and seize the opportunity to prevent c5. I think f5 is extremely risky because it gives away g6 completely. And I still have the option... What? Okay. So, b5, he should not take because I take on d5, so he probably plays g5. Then I can take on c6. If he takes on f3, then cd7. He has to take back with the bishop or with the queen. Then I recapture on f3. The knight moves away to, let's say, g5, targeting f3. Let's say king h1. Is that scary? Maybe b5, g5, knight d2. Just getting away from the attack. Okay, I'm playing b5. I definitely don't wish to react on the king side. If he wants to go g4, I think I can just retreat my knight. He's leaving a ton of squares behind. Okay. Now, BC, GF, CD, Queen D, GF, Knight G5, King H1, or maybe even Bishop F5. CD, GF. Sorry, BC 6, GF3, CD7. What if Queen G5? Okay, I can at least take a rook with check, and I don't think I'm getting mated after, let's say, King H7, G3. Queen H4, King H1, Queen H3, Rook G1. So BC6, GF3, CD7, Queen D7, GF3, Knight G5, Bishop F5, Knight F3, King H2. No, Knight F3, I have King G2. Ah, no, Knight H4. Okay, so King H1 has to move the queen. BC6, GF3, CD7. Okay, I'm going for it. I don't want to retreat my knight. This seems kind of good because f5 will be hanging once the knight moves away. He could, of course, choose to take on c3 after gf3, but then my bishop and queen are wide open. And if he moves the knight, if he doesn't take back, then I have knight e5. And if he takes back, then I have a weakness on c6, and the minority attack was successful. And I actually, if he takes back, then bishop e4, something takes on e4, knight e5, knight e5, d e5, queen e5, queen c6. And he has to play rook b8. Then I have queen g6, king f8, queen h6. Wait, bc6, bishop e4. gf3 isn't possible because of bishop f3. So let's say fe4, knight e5, knight e5, d e5. If queen e5, queen c6. He doesn't have bishop d7 or bishop b7 because I just take it. And on rook b8, queen g6, aha, queen g7. He has queen g7. No, he doesn't have queen g7 because of queen e8. Okay. So bc6, bishop e4, fe4, knight e5. He has to take probably because I take on c6. Ah, no, I'm stupid. My knight is still on c3. I don't have queen c6. Yeah, I'm stupid. I don't have queen c6. Because when I first looked at that idea, I imagined taking on e4 with the knight, but I cannot do that. Okay. So, bishop e4, f e4, knight e5, knight e5, queen e5. Can I go knight c5? Not really. Okay, so do I go knight d2 or do I play bishop e4? I don't think I should play bishop e4. It's kind of want my bishop to target f5. Okay, so knight d2 or bishop e4. And I don't want to play bishop e4. So knight d2. Does he have knight f2? Knight f2, rook f2, queen e3? Not really. King... Knight d2, knight f2, rook f2, queen e3. I mean, I could just take bishop f5. Okay. Minority attack successful. c6 is weak. I want to go knight a4, knight c5 to set up a blockade. I'll have to preface that with either bishop e4 or something else. For the moment, he still doesn't have c5 because of knight d5, which would be a disaster because my knight has a great outpost on f4. I don't really want to play bishop e4 because that gives him bishop a6. I don't see the benefit of his pawns moving forward on the king side. It just seems that his king is very unsafe. I don't think he has enough force, especially since I can trade off the e4 knight whenever I want. So he basically has queen, knight and rook, best case. And once my pieces come to the 7th rank, his king is going to be wide open. If they come to the 7th rank. I'm out of normal coffee, so I'm drinking decaf because Lidl is very far away. And I prefer normal coffee. Also, I'm not home, so I don't have my espresso machine. So I basically make coffee in a, I don't know, we use the Turkish word for that. We call it jezva. It's a small thing where you boil the water and then you make the coffee. It's the primal way to make coffee, but it's the best we have here, unless you drink coffee outside, of course. But by the way, France and French people, please give me your input on this. Let me just see what I'll do against this. I feel like knight a4 is correct. Okay, so France is the country. I've been to France many times, and I always have the same issue. The coffee here is so bad. Unless you go to one of those hipster specialty coffee for €5 things where you can drink mocha peanut butter latte with animals on it. If you go to a normal bar, then the coffee just sucks. It's so bad. How do you make such bad coffee? Why? On the other hand, the cheeses and the bread in France are by far the best I've ever had. And it's just, there's no comparison. So Why don't you people have normal coffee? Okay, do I play knight b3? Knight b3 seems like a very, very big problematic strategic bind for my opponent to solve, unless he has f4. I don't really want to go knight b3, because if he plays f4, I'll have knight e4, d4, and bishop c4, winning his queen. So for the moment, I'm gonna go rook c1, but which rook? Let's do this rook, so that I don't undefend f2. I'm sorry, my laptop is starting to make noise. It's quite hot and I'm next to a window. So I'll just move it away from the mic. So yeah, what was I talking about? You cannot have a good cup of coffee in France unless you go to a very, very special bar. And I'm in a small city. There aren't too many special places. Play f4 so that I can win your queen. Please. Please. Come on. Also, my opponent is getting pretty low on time. Okay. Okay, so knight b3, f4 takes. That seems okay. I'm gonna go knight b3. This is complete strategic domination of the c5 square, which is exactly what you want in a position where you play for a minority attack. Keep this pawn backward and keep it bad. Still, I would have liked to have the option to go bishop c4, but I can do that if I have a knight on c5 as well. See, I don't think my opponent's attack worked. Why are his pawns on f5, g4, and h5? How does he make progress? Because my structure is intact. I did not create a hook. I haven't moved any of my kingside pawns. So in a position where he plays h3, I go g3. If he goes g3, I can take and go h3. Or if he hasn't advanced the h pawn, I can just take. Okay, this doesn't help. So knight c5. I didn't want to trade on e4 first because I want to keep f5 weak. And I want to keep the bishop bad. And his bishop is bad because it doesn't have a6. I'm guessing he has to take. Queen f7 is the only alternative. Yeah, I think he has to take. We're gonna use chessbook to go over the opening, because I'm never sure about the subtleties in the queen's gambit exchange. Okay, queen f7 or queen e7 were alternatives. So can I now go rook b1? Rook b1, knight c5, queen c5, queen c5, d c5. I don't want to do that. But can I now go bishop e4? If he plays d4, I go queen b3, winning the bishop. So he has to go f e4. So bishop e4, f e4. rook b1. I like that. I'm gonna do that. Rook b1, rook b8, queen a4. My only goal is to keep the bishop bad. I want this bishop to be as bad as possible. Oh, on rook b8 I can just take and take on c6. He doesn't have rook b8, he has to go bishop a8. Oof, he has to go bishop a8. Or rook c7. That's pretty bad. So now I'm guessing I should just double up on the b file. Just keep dominating. If rook b8, rook b1, if rook b3, queen b3. Yeah, this is so pleasant. This is why I love the exchange queen's gambit declined. This is perfect. Wait, he doesn't challenge the b file, so let's look at g3. g3. Oh, can I also go queen e2? Queen e2, queen g5. Queen e2, queen g5. Rook fb1. g3. Takes. Okay, I don't want to commit my rook yet, so I'll just go a4. My idea is to go a5, a6, and make sure that the bishop can never move. I'm not afraid of g3 as long as my rook stays on f1. And I don't really want to go queen e2 because it makes no sense. He just has queen g5. And I have no way of controlling g3. So he wants to go rook f8, g3 takes and mate. So I'm guessing I'll play queen d1 if he plays rook f8. Yeah. Oh, he had h3. I didn't see h3. Okay, so queen e2 or queen d1. Let's say queen e2. He cannot take on g2 because I take on g4. And then I can play g3 next. I'm actually happy he played h3. I'm not happy I didn't see it, but I'm happy he played it because now there isn't really that much counterplay. As long as my queen covers f3, my rook's free to move. He's under a minute. This isn't going to be easy for him. I think, practically speaking, he should take on g2. Yeah. He probably has to go to the h file. Yeah, now I check him away and take on g2. Unless he wishes to trade queens, then I'm just a safe pawn up. Oh, okay. Very happy to see that. He's basically a piece down here. I mean, he's definitely a piece down. The bishop cannot move. Whatever he does, the bishop's not moving. Okay, let's defend. I need to get my king out of the corner, and to do that I need to go rook g1, rook g2, king g1, king f1, and then everything's defended. I couldn't go knight d7 because of rook f2, attacking the rook on b2. Okay. I don't really want to go rook b8 because he has rook f8. So I'm just going to go a6 to make sure the bishop doesn't move away. I don't want to trade rooks. I don't want to trade anything anymore. I'm controlling both open files. And I'll get my king into the game quickly. Wait, now this just hangs the bishop. The bishop doesn't have any more squares. He had to give himself the option to go rook f8. Okay, woohoo! Okay, I'm going to briefly look at the theory here, and then we are going to move on to chessbook. I'm interested in the... Wait, can you guys see this? Yes. Okay, so bishop d3, knight bd7, rook e8, castles. Okay, h6, as I said, is... I don't think h6 should be played, but okay. Knight e4, bishop e7, queen e7. Wait, a3 is a mistake? Let's see why. Oh, you guys cannot see the engine lines? Yes, you can. Okay, so the engine plays h3. What's wrong with a3? Okay, should have gone knight df6, and then I was hoping to go either b4 or knight e5. But why is this so imprecise? Why has this only been played once? Okay, so instead of this, I should have gone... The theory is b4. Ah, I can play b4. If queen takes, then I have knight e4. Ah, that makes sense. I don't have to play a3. Okay, so on b4, he plays knight df6. And then I immediately go b5. Oof. Yes, this is much stronger. Okay, so now we're going to move on to chessbook and study this to make sure I don't make the same mistake again. Bye. Okay, I've imported this variation into chessbook. So this is how I use chessbook. I import the variations that I'm not good at, and then I practice them. So now let's practice this. So... Okay, d4. The first time I'm doing this, it's going to give me... It's going to show me arrows. So the first time you import a variation, it's going to be easier. I do know this, however. And then once you've done it, then it's going to ask you to do it without the arrows. Okay, so in this position, I played a3. Okay, bishop d3 here. Okay, so I played a3 instead of b4. Now it's going to bring me to this point where I should go b5, bishop takes, queen takes. Okay, c4. Okay, dc, knight c. Oh, okay, rook c1. Okay. Okay, so I've imported several options for black after b4 because there isn't really a singular response. So now we're doing the whole thing. Bishop d3, knight f3, castles, bishop h4, bishop e7. And in this position, I played a3, which is a mistake. So b4, queen b4, knight e4, bishop e4, bishop d3. Okay, this is fine. And then if b4, knight df6, then b5 takes, bishop takes, bishop takes. Okay. What do I do here? Oh my god. I guess takes. And then... No, which rook? Ah, it was the other rook. Okay. Damn, you see I made a mistake. No! Rook ac1, rook ac1. Okay, rook ac1. Okay, now we're done. Okay, continue. And the way you get most out of chessbook is by correcting the opening mistakes you make in your games. So connect your Lichess account or your chess.com account to chessbook, and once you've imported your repertoire, then you can see the mistakes you've made in your games. So that's gonna be great. Obviously, I have one game where I've made the same mistake or something similar. So what you can do is just import the repertoire. You can use any of my studies on Patreon if you want, or create your own Lichess study, or you can import it by hand. So a great tool. There's a link in the description below. Check it out, and let's go back to analyzing the game. Okay, let's finish analyzing the rest of the game. So I played a3, he played f5. Yes, and after that we're out of book, and f5 wasn't a good move. b4 was correct. Let's do it with the engine. g5, b5 is correct. g4. Okay, I should have gone knight d2 immediately. Okay, bc6 is the best move. bc6, knight d2 is correct. Ah, I had queen c6 because the rook was attacked. I should have done this, fe4 and then queen c6. Yep. Okay, I didn't see that. I played knight a4. Bishop b7. This is fine, this is fine. Yeah, and after knight c5, it's just completely dominated. Wait, let me... Okay, here, so that you can guys see the engine evaluation. So, knight c5, queen e7. I didn't really want to take on b7. I took on e4 and went through b1, which is still fine. Okay, a4 was a mistake. I should have gone f3. I didn't consider f3. gf3, king h8, king h1. Okay, this is interesting. I didn't see that. After a4, it says I lost most of my advantage. So let's say rook fb1, rook f8, queen e2, queen g5, or queen f7, rook 1 to b2, queen f5, g3. Okay, I mean, I still think I'm better, but, and the engine agrees, but it's not as good. Okay, a4 mistake, a5 is fine, This is fine. Yeah, now queen g4. Yeah, okay, this we don't have to look at. This is very easy. Rook g8, here, here. Yeah, okay. A pretty simple Queen's Gambit decline exchange. Gotta love the Karlsbad structure. I'll see you guys in the next one. Check out Chessbook in the link in the description. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more chess. Bye-bye.